Hello guys, it's Chumma. We're doing another Bottleman unboxing already, and that is of course on Colaoh G. This is kind of the crazy new Bottleman, and I can't really get a good look at the sides here just based on the amount of space I have. But you can see all like the caps and stuff kind of there, and just some combinations. And this side's just pretty standard, whatever. So it doesn't matter too much with the back. Kind of actually get a decent look at Colaoh G here and all the stuff it comes with. You have like the two, like a leg shooter, so like this mini cap shooter, the main core, the different caps comes with it. It just has a ton of stuff in here. Let's just open this thing up. It's definitely the craziest Bottleman. Unfortunately though, made in China. If you guys have watched some of my Godcap videos, you'll know that has been kind of the curse of Godcap. Has been the switch to the Chinese factory because unfortunately the molds have just been significantly worse. So that is the one downside of this thing, and the one thing I am genuinely worried about. I will give an update once I have everything, built and tested, but for now, that is a big concern of mine, is that this isn't going to perform as well as it should. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, that we have this, like, weird thing. Let's, oh boy, there is a lot here, so... Stickers? Oh, these are actually not bad at all. I mean, there's 21 stickers, but that's, for what this thing is, that's genuinely kind of shocking. I was expecting way more. My focus just went completely out of whack there. Instructions as well, anyway. We have... I don't even know where I'm beginning here. This might be the legs, actually, I think. This part, we have the caps and stuff, some extra pieces. Here, it looks like we have all of the different hole parts and triggers. There's just so many here, it's kind of funny. Looks like some more kind of just general armor pieces, parts of the magazine. Cool. More kind of armor parts, it looks like. And lastly, looks like, again, some more armor parts plus the main core. So, I have a lot to build. This is going to be a pretty lengthy video, I assume. So, looking forward to checking everything out. But for now, I'll go ahead and get everything built, stickered, tested, just whatever else I need to do. So I will come back when I have all of that done. Alright, I'm back. Have everything built and stickered and everything. So, here is Colaoh G. I am fully zoomed out, and it still takes up this much of the camera, so yeah. Here it is. You can see this thing and how just giant it is. Like, I'm a tall person. I have large hands, right? I'm like 6'7", and you can imagine that the fact this thing's like this, like the height of my hand almost. That is ridiculous. This is such a gigantic Bottleman. Like I even, like, just holding this thing's like, man, this is like a, like, what is this thing? I can't even imagine a kid trying to use this, but, yeah, I just had to start with that because I just feel like the size of Colaoh G is ridiculous. This thing is wild, so, anyways, where do I even begin with Colaoh G outside of that? There's a lot I could talk about, but I guess we'll just go part by part, I guess. So, the head is kind of like Dragogina's, where, like, you have kind of a separate neck piece, which is kind of cool, I guess. You also have the tail here. The tail is kind of a nice support piece. You can see the bottom is pretty flat there, helps it to stand up, which is nice to have. Also, the feet here, also very large. These parts here are supposed to rotate. You're supposed to be able to move them and have, like, a Kerpeps effect, like original Kerpeps, not Kerpeps DX, but, basically you're supposed to be able to move these and kind of have it angled downward to, basically shoot the caps downward, because since this thing has such a high release, which makes sense, and it works fine enough. I don't have any problems with that. It's a little bit awkward, I guess, because I feel like you're shooting so far down that the caps don't always work the best with that. Like, it's fine. I think it needed to have that, and it's just hard to really balance it out, but, It's okay. I was able to do some testings, but the problem is that these got locked in place, and they do not want to come out. We'll talk more about that later, but yeah, once if you really want to lock these in place, you could lock these in place, and they are not coming out very well. I was trying for quite a while. They were not wanting to move, so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll at least explain the gimmick, but I can't show it unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But you know what? I at least got the testings done with it. So yeah. Also, you have these leg parts here are giant. Obviously, these are cores. They are vertical cores. Because why not? Also, the arms here are pretty large. You have two sets of hands. Like, you have these claws, then you have, like, actual hands. I don't know why, but sure, why not? You have wings, which are very similar to Colaoh Energy DX's wings, so that's pretty neat, I guess. Also, in the hands, you could put these, like, mini cap shooters in here, small cap shooters, we're going to call them. Comes with one. There are two other ones you could use here. There is the Colaoh one, and also the it was, I think, a recolor of the Colaoh G small cap shooter. It was like a red one that came out recently. I don't have either one of those right now. I don't have the re-release, and the other one, I did not put that one on. It just feels like this thing's already such a mess to shoot, which we'll come back to. But so there's an empty slot there, and then this one, obviously, I have it in the left hand, which I prefer because I am left-handed. Which I guess maybe you could shoot like one-handed with this thing, but I feel like it's just so giant, like you're not gonna do that. So I'd prefer just have it on my better side. And yeah, then we have the actual main core, which is pretty wild. This thing is it's a big cap core, which is already wild enough, but then it also has a built-in magazine for 3 shots, because again, why not? And also, let me just give you guys a quick back view of this thing, a proper back view. Just look at look at all the triggers. Like, what is this thing even doing? Like, it just looks so odd. Like, I can't help but just like this thing, you know, it's just so stupid, but also fun. As far as caps go, you do get some caps. Let's move this guy for a bit and actually show something I could zoom in for. Zoom in a lot more for it. You do get some different caps here. You do get these big cap rings. You get 3 of them. You could put other things inside of here if you want to, but you know, these are just meant to be the rings, so why not? Pretty alright. Also, 2 vertical caps for the legs, and then 1 small cap for the like the arm, like the small cap shooter and the hand there. So also, oh god, I need to zoom back out for this. The tail here, you can actually store caps. It's a little bit awkward though, because you could do like a big cap ring, if I could get that in place. Let's do like a vertical cap and a small cap. But you're already out of space, so it's like, well, it's kind of stupid to store these here. Like, I don't know about that one. And if you do like the big caps, you could do 2 of them. But, and also this thing sometimes is a little bit finicky, but you can't, there's not enough space for a third, obviously. Why would you ever want to have multiple small caps in here? And vertical caps are like the most sensible one, I would say. I think you can get a third one in there. Yeah, I would say vertical caps are the way to go, or just like any other cap if you want to put them in the legs. I think vertical caps are the best for it, but still. I'd just say throw like 3 normal caps in there, or maybe like 2 normal caps, well, or vertical caps, whatever. Maybe like 1 small cap. Something like that, I would say, is probably like the best way to go. But also, if you're already reaching down here to reload, I feel like just have your caps on the side. Like, it's just kind of an extra, I guess, cool little feature, because why not, you know? It doesn't need to be there, but I guess it's kind of nice that it's there. I mean, sure. I think those are all the features of this guy. I think that's everything, which is a lot. Like, we're only 6.5 minutes into this part of the video. I mean, already 6.5 minutes into this video, or this part. And I haven't even gotten into, like, the performance or the quality. I haven't gotten into anything. So, I guess before we get to that, let's load this guy up and also do some comparisons to the previous Colaohs. So as far as loading this guy goes, you have, of course, the small cap here. You can, of course, put a cap in there. The legs are a bit more interesting. You kind of, I'll just put this one in. This one's probably easier to see. It's kind of like this groove here on the foot that you can kind of see. And then you just kind of push up and they go in. It's like a Wonder Grape type of mechanism, which is pretty nice. Just throw that one in. And then these, you just drop them in the magazine. And luckily for us, it's not an Aqua Sports DX type of problem. The 3 caps, they fit properly. So no worrying about that. They are in there and secure. So with that, I guess we'll do some comparisons to the other Colaoh. I don't think I can really... Maybe, I guess I can kind of get a decent look here. So here's Colaoh, and just to give you a sense of size to the original, that's hilarious. I actually haven't done this before. Yeah, that's, if you put them... Oh god, yeah, that's something. Yeah, this guy looks tiny. That's actually funny. Here's Colaoh DX with the stickers peeling off, because of course they are, but, yeah, that's still tiny. Like, this is a pretty normal-sized Bottleman, and, I'd still consider Colaoh Energy DX to be, like, a decently large Bottleman, and putting it next to this thing... I mean, like, you kind of could see, like, the width of it's, like, somewhat comparable, but it's so short, it's like... Who cares? I mean, especially if I were to, like, try and get a sense of width there. It's hard to, but I guess this is probably a better look. You can just tell, like, this thing is, like, almost, like, twice the width of Colaoh Energy DX, which is already a really wide Bottleman. So yeah, I just want to give you kind of a sense of, like, the previous Colaohs. I don't know if this is really considered Colaoh or not. It's a little bit up in the air. Whatever. It has Cola in the name, so I figured I'd do the comparisons. And if nothing else, just to compare to some more normal-sized Bottleman. Like, we have a prototype one, a DX one, then I guess just a somewhat larger DX Bottleman, I guess. And now we have this thing, whatever the hell this is supposed to be. Why not? Okay, let's get into the actual stuff here. So first up, if you are a shelf collector, this is one of the coolest things you could ever own, I would say, and it's a must-have. I do testings for these videos, and also just, like, the ranking videos I do sometimes. But generally, I just like to have these things displayed, and as far as that goes, this thing is incredible. It just looks really, really cool. I like having it just, you know, chilling, and it's just nice. So, big fan of it for that. However, performance, okay. Let's talk about performance. So as far as the big caps go, I actually don't really have many problems. My main problem really just comes from, like, the fact that it's so high up, like, you're gonna miss most targets, or at least a lot of targets, you're just gonna miss. And that's why, you know, you have, like, the angled mode, but, I feel like it's so high up that when it hits the ground, it tends to sometimes just ricochet. Sometimes it kind of just slides and that works well, but other times, I don't know, it's just a little bit awkward. You could also, I guess, judge distance with that and try to shoot downward in such a way that was going to hit the target. But with that, it's like, yeah, it's hard to judge distance with that, and also, like, I feel like you have to be too close to really get something like that working properly. It's a little bit awkward, but you know what, I still like it. I still like it. They shoot hard enough, I would say. I just think that it's nice. And also, if you are wanting to use any sort of big caps, this is the way to go. Dragger G is just simply invalidated at this point. There is no reason to use Dragger G anymore. In my opinion, this thing is just so much better. And that thing, with its awkward loading and just, well, single shot, it's just not really worth it over this. The small cap is, I mean, it's just whatever. Like, I could take it or leave it. I guess if you use, like, the Colaoh ones and have 2 in there, then you get, like, 3 shots per one. That's 6 extra caps. Even if they are small caps, I feel like that's kind of a little bit more worth it. So if you do some customization, that's actually not too bad. But if you're just having the one single shot, it's like, I mean, whatever, I guess. Sure. And now let's get to the real problem with firing this thing, and that is the legs. So when you fire, I think the vertical caps, they do have to drop, and I feel like that does make them a little bit less accurate, unfortunately. So I kind of don't like that. I mean, they don't just fall, but when they hit the ground eventually, they veer off sometimes. And also, if you get it angled downward, it also has that problem. Not as bad, but it's still awkward. It comes out low enough, though, to where it's not as big of a deal, but still. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, I would say. Not too bad though. I still like it. And the fact that you have so many caps, it's not that big of a deal. But what is a big deal are these trigger pads. I would say probably about half the time when I fire these, when I was firing these would just slide off. They do require some tension to come off, so it's not like a guaranteed thing. But I would honestly just say to leave them off, and it's less comfortable, but still, like, these just came off way too often for me. Like, I don't know, like, you'd see that one was already halfway off from when I was testing, but, like, yeah, they just don't stay on. It's a really big issue to not have these stay on, so just, I guess, keep them off and just deal with a smaller, less comfortable trigger pad. Again, it's just these small things that add up over time, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but yeah. So unfortunately, I can't say that firing the legs feels great, because again, you do have that issue. Removing that issue, this thing's kind of awkward still, but not too bad. I think the weirdest thing, though, is the fact that you have to manage 4 triggers. Like, you have this, you shoot all these, and I guess you can kind of, like, move over this one, but then you have to, like, completely change your grip for these. It's like, there's just a lot going on. I'd almost rather just stick to, like, the main caps here and just, I guess, leave, like, these as, like, reserves. Maybe switch to this one. I guess I could one-hand this and, like, switch over to this one if I want to, but, like, these are just kind of reserves. And I mentioned putting, like, maybe extra caps in the tail for this, but, like, I also don't think that's really the best idea either, because it's like, you could if you want to use them, but at the same time, is it really worth using them? Not really, because the fact that you have to change your grip, it just gets to a point where it's like, I don't think it's really worthwhile. It's not terrible, it's just like, having 4 triggers is just hard to manage. Like Royal Griffin has, like, the bar to have, like, 3 of them. That's kind of really nice. I almost wish that there was, like, a main piece for this, and you could have, like, different parts to, like, connect, and, like, have different segments and connect to other triggers and stuff. That could have been cool. But we don't have that, and it's like, I kind of get why they didn't do it, but at the same time, it's just like, well, what else am I supposed to do here? I have to constantly manage, 4 triggers, maybe 5 if you have another thing in here, but still, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it just feels awkward, I guess. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but, yeah. As far as using this thing goes, I feel like you have something like Dragogena DX, which has a pretty wild and kind of stupid gimmick, but, hey, you know what, it kind of works, and, performs pretty well. This thing, I'm not as convinced. It's gonna take me a while to get a good just a good sense of what this thing can really do. And this unboxing is definitely first impressions, and my first impressions aren't the best, but I will eventually do a Godcat ranking video, and I will talk about this thing more. Maybe I'll even do a dedicated discussion on this guy, because it's just so insane, I feel like it would be something that might actually warrant that. But, for now, unless I'm missing something, it just doesn't feel that great. And you have to constantly manage a lot of triggers, and a lot of the times it's just not worth it. Just use like the main one. But again, I already mentioned there's some problems. Again, it's really high up, and if you go downward, it just kind of is a little bit awkward. So it's not the best thing in my opinion. It's very cool, but it's not the best. I don't know. It's just weird. And with all that said, that leads me back to my main problem with this thing. Quality control. I feel like, again, with those trigger pads, I've had them slide off a lot. I've actually had this thing just split in half on me. Like it just did when I was firing, like, okay, sure. I know some parts just don't want to stay together properly sometimes. This piece, this like little small cap shooter just does not want to stay in this hand well enough a lot of the time. I finally got to kind of stay, but I feel like it wants to just pop out at any moment. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like this thing was made well, and I feel like this is the biggest problem I have with Godcap, right? Like, regardless of the performance of this thing, it's a cool Bottleman. Like, regardless of if I think it's good or not, it doesn't matter. It's cool. This should be the coolest Bottleman, and even if it's not the best performance, I should just say, you know what? It's just so much fun and so crazy that who cares, I want to say that. I hate the fact that with Godcat, I've had to come on every single video and complain. Yes, I'm generally critical of products. That's just what I do. But I like when my, critiques are more nitpicks or, smaller things that I mention. That's nice. Because I could still say at the end of the day, it's a great product, But with this, with Godcap, it's just been constantly, every single product, I have to say, the quality control is just not there. And it also sucks because the design team did great. The design team who made this Bottleman did great. They designed again, a really, really cool Bottleman. I would argue this is the craziest thing we've had from the Bottleman slash Beat-On franchise since maybe something like Omega Bahamut or something. And even then, I'd say this is crazier probably. So, like maybe some of the crazy like synchro up and system combinations you can make in Crash Beat 'em On are crazier, but like just for one self-contained Bottleman or Beat 'em On, I'd say maybe going back to like Gatling Hades or something. Maybe that'd be it, but still, like this is very reminiscent of something from like Baku Gaiden Beat 'em On, which is not a comparison that I thought I would make in Bottleman. That is a wild comparison. That like Baku Gaiden was insane with what it was doing, and I feel like this is kind of approaching that level of insanity with how many things it has going on. And I like that. I like that they went crazy. Again, I don't care if it's not the most practical thing when it's just this cool. But the fact that it just doesn't work as well as it should, the fact that two of the four cores in this thing, the trigger pad still off, one of the four cores just doesn't stay in place. This is the only core that really works properly, regardless of some awkwardness. But again, that's fine. Like the fact that I have to come on here every single time and complain about the quality control. They had these problems in the prototype line. That was unfortunate. But then they fixed it in DX. Great, the problem solved. And then they brought back the problem in Godcap for zero reason, and with the more complex designs of Bottleman Godcap opposed to the prototype line, it makes the problems even worse. There's more moving parts. There's more room for failure, when you have more going on. And when you have something like this that has so many moving parts and so many things happening, of course there's going to be more problems, like there is. I will say it's not as bad as it could have been. It's definitely not as terrible as I kind of thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be way more problems than there are. It works fine enough, even with some issues. It's still okay enough to where I can't complain too much about the quality control. But the fact that I even have to mention the quality control as a problem at all is still just unfortunate. And I wish I really did not have to mention that. And it just sucks I still have to. We'll see if Spritening G is any better, but I'm not convinced. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it is. Hopefully we get better quality control. But at that point, it's like, well, the damage is already done, We already have a lot of really crazy Bottlemen that have just kind of been ruined by quality control problems. This one hasn't been ruined, but I'd argue something like Colaoh G, well, even if you don't want to say it's ruined by quality control, I would say it's hampered by it. I feel like Samus G and Deku Tiger G also have some problems that hold them back. And, Dragger G, I think that one's actually ruined by quality control. And also, the biggest part about Bottleman Godcap is supposed to be the crazier caps. Oh yeah, all of the cap molds in this line are terrible. Because, the plastic and how the ridges are in the caps is just worse. They're worse to shoot than the other caps, and when your whole gimmick is to have more interesting caps, it just sucks. So, yeah, this thing isn't terrible with quality control, but again, I just don't like having to complain about it so much, but it is something I have to talk about, unfortunately, so yeah. With all that said, though, this thing ended up being okay. It's not the worst. Has some really stupid problems, but it's not the worst thing ever. As far as using it goes, again, it's kinda awkward, but again, fair enough. Aside from that, though, yeah, performance questionable, but I can live with that. But I think the main thing is, with the lack of games that we have in Bottleman, I feel like a lot of people just put these on their shelves, or maybe just mess with them from time to time. I think in that regard, it works. As a shelf piece, like I said, it's great, and I really, really like it a lot, so they did that right, and I guess that's something I can at least be happy about, so yeah. And also the fact that they were just willing to go this crazy with the design is nice. It's just, the design team did great. Whoever does the upper management and decides the factories and release schedules, those are the people messing it up. I never want to take it out on the design team because, again, they generally do a pretty good job. So, Colaoh G, for the most part, big fan. So, Do I at least recommend getting this thing? Kind of. I do think it's a bit pricey. I think it's 5,500 yen, which is almost 40 bucks. And I do think it kind of, I mean, you can kind of probably, see why it's that much, but still kind of steep, I feel like, just for a Bottleman. And well, yes, I do think it warrants the price. That is a lot for, about like one Bottleman still. I can't, I cannot talk today at all. My other videos like this too, but anyway. Yeah, this thing, I think it warrants the price, but it is still kind of steep, so this one, I can understand people not getting it, but at the same time, if you could afford it and are interested in it, I would say it's a good pickup for sure. If nothing else, it's just cool to have a Puddleman this ridiculous, so kind of have to recommend it for that at least. So, you know what, I still like it, so at the end, that's all that matters, is that it's at least cool. So, there you go, it's Colaoh G. This is probably going to be my longest single Bottleman unboxing. As in like a single Bottleman, just yeah, like as in one Bottleman. Like obviously the random collections are longer, but still, like this is probably. I'd be shocked if we had a single Bottleman that outdoes this video in terms of length. That'd be something. But yeah, that's basically everything I want to talk about this thing. It's just wild. I want to talk about it for a while because it's just crazy. So there you go, Colaoh G. So anyways, thanks for watching and bye.